Hello and welcome to the Football Revolution. I'm your host, Gio. Thanks for joining us. 4 becomes 2. The grand finalists are locked and loaded. We have to wait 2 weeks before the big showdown and lots more to chat about. And joining me to review, preview and discuss what's new is my co-host, VIG. Hello, mate.
Good evening. How you going?
Mate, it's quite exciting, isn't it? We're getting to the business end of all the leagues around the world. So not only is the A-League starting to really heat up, but Bundesliga, I suppose even the Premier League's been decided, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So this is the time of year where it's sort of it's double-edged sword, right? You're super excited that the winners are starting to be crowned, but you're also sad that the seasons are coming to an end, which means that football will dry up for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, this is the business end of the season, and you get so excited about winning or the potential of winning. But like you said, at the same stage, it's a bit saddening because it's all going to finish quite soon. So we've got to enjoy it while it lasts.
No, we have to keep watching highlights or something, or maybe is there something else to entertain us?
Look, we've got the Women's World Cup to watch over the break, so
Yeah, we
that'll
do
keep
actually.
us
Yeah, that's coming
entertained
up
for
too.
that'll keep us entertained for a little bit, and hopefully by the time that wraps up, and maybe the Matildas are lifting a World Cup, and that'll kick us into the next season.
Can only dream. Sensational Adelaide talent Nestoria Racunda now apparently has International, the Champions League finalists, AC Milan and Liverpool joining Bayern Munich, lining up for his signature. So is there anyone at the moment I think you and I are trying to buy him to bring him on the show and get him as a host?
Yeah, look, there's been a lot of talk, a lot of chat. Yeah, look, he's a talent. He's a massive talent. And the clubs are circling now. And once one club got word of it, and the word got out, then there's a few others jumping on board now, and they all want a piece of him.
Mate, if you were pressing the button here, where would you send him?
Oh God, look, all those clubs mentioned, and the previous clubs mentioned are all great destinations. Your eyes light up as a young kid when you're linked with a club like that, or you know someone you know is linked with a club like that. So it's a tough call. I said it before. I said wherever he goes, they need to have a plan for him. They can't just be taking him and just throwing him anywhere, loaning him out to any old club. I want to see a progress plan. How is he going to go from being, he hasn't started a match for Adelaide. So how's he going to go from, what's his transition like from going to the A League, overseas, playing regularly and then breaking into the first team? What is the plan there? Which club can present the best plan to him, and then he can make a calculated decision about where's best. Not just going where the money's best. It's easy to just see the dollar signs and jump on board. Chelsea are a massive club, and they're the type of club that'll throw a lot of money at you. And for a young player, it could be enticing to go there, but you could end up in League Two somewhere. Playing in the Plymouth or one of those clubs on loan. So he's got to be real about it. He's got to understand wherever he goes, he needs to go somewhere and play, and they need to have a real good career path for him.
Mate, you still didn't give me an answer, so we'll just take that as to be confirmed. But
take your pick.
The good thing for him is though that usually when you go to these clubs, you worry you're not going to get a lot of game time. You'll probably get more game time at one of these clubs than he is getting at Adelaide at the moment. But we'll touch on that a little bit more later in our Revolutionised Round-Up. 26 teams proceed to the next stage of the national second-tier process. Blacktown City, the biggest dropouts. So it's starting to gain momentum. It's starting to look like this could get some legs and finally get off the ground. And Stage 1 would obviously be a second-tier men's competition, but then obviously promotion relegation is something that needs to be added in. But this would be a great first step.
Yeah, definitely. Look, we're moving in the right way. It's a shame that Blacktown City didn't make that 26. They're a huge club in New South Wales. They've produced a massive number of footballers, professional footballers, and even Socceroos. So it's a little bit of disappointment there, but at the end of the day, there can only be a certain amount of clubs that progress, and a certain amount of clubs that get into this national second division. And I'm sure everyone's doing their due diligence and making sure that the right clubs are chosen at the end of the day.
Our young Matildas and Joeys are off to Asia for camps and tournaments, so a great experience for our next generation of footballers.
Yeah, look, at that age, Joey's young Matildas, they need to be playing tournament football as much as possible. We need to be getting these squads together as much as possible, and the only way for them to progress and to learn how to play a certain way and really gel together as a team and really shine on the Asian stage and the world stage is to be playing in these competitions against quality opposition. So looking forward to seeing what they can do.
Well, the Joeys have got they've got an extended squad which they need to obviously trim before they head off to the Asia Cup, and also look, it'll be interesting to see the final squads for both of those teams, as well as the Matildas' final squad for the World Cup. But talking of Aussies abroad, Jackson Irvine with another assist in St. Pauli's 4-3 win, but their promotion hopes are over. So unfortunately for the captain of the club and our Socceroo, they came close, but they needed a victory and hoped that the team above them fell over, but that wasn't to be. Matty Ryan kept a clean sheet as his side, AZ Alkmaar, put European disappointment behind them with a 3-0 victory, and plenty of minutes for our multiple Aussies in Scotland.
Yeah, plenty happening. We spoke about Sampali. The second half of the season they had. If they had that form in the first half of the season, we might be seeing a few Aussies in the Bundesliga next year. But not to be, and they've had a tremendous run, since the turn of the year. So they can be pretty proud of that, and they're a big club in the second division in Germany. So hopefully, again next year they're up there challenging for promotion. And Matty Ryan, unfortunate, getting knocked out of the Conference League, but he's bounced back on the weekend with a win there for Alkmaar.
Yeah, look, still some good signs for the Aussies. PL news, Man City are the champions again, even before they defeated Chelsea, as Nottingham Forest defeat Arsenal 1-0. They can now focus on the Cups and a potential treble. So not only did that help City to claim another title, but it also meant the Forest pushed themselves clear of relegation, so they can breathe easy now and start to look towards another season in the Premier League. Newcastle and Man United both just need a point from their remaining 2 games to clinch a Champions League spot. So Liverpool have only got a game in hand and they're sitting just behind, but all they need, so destiny's in their own hands for both the Geordies as well as the Red Devils. Who will join the Saints in going down? The Foxes are on 30. They play Newcastle and West Ham, whilst Leeds on 31 only have a game to play against Spurs, and Everton a further 2 points ahead on 33, only face Bournemouth. So for me, I said that the run home and the way they've played this year was just too much for Leeds, so I reckon they're gone. And I also reckon that the Foxes will also join them, because I think Everton, that's a nice draw for them. They're on the most points, but also the Bournemouth have got nothing to play for now, right? They can't finish anywhere much higher or lower. They've had a great season. So for me, it'll be, unfortunately, Leicester, Leeds and Saints all going down to the Championship.
Yeah, look, it's you never like to see it, but look, unless Leicester pull out a miracle, I can't see them surviving. And literally a fox out of the hat. And like you said, the back end of the season for Leeds has just been abysmal, and probably caps it off with their loss to West Ham. They're up 1-0. Then they have Patrick Bamford come off, and they ended up losing 3-1. And I think the wheels are pretty much off at Leeds, or they're driving down the street with one wheel still hanging on and 3 off, and the rim scraping the road. But yeah, look, it's disappointing, obviously, with Leeds. The connection that they have with Australia, and Harry Kewell, Viduka, Jacob Burns. So as an Aussie, you never love to see them go down, but they just haven't been good enough this back end of the season, or even the start of the season, really. And I think Everton might just scrape out of this one by the skin of their teeth.
We've said this a million times, VIG. It's so cutthroat now. There's so many good teams, competitive sides in there, that if you have an off couple of games, all of a sudden you find yourself in a hole you can't get out of. So, look, we wish them all the best. We've got no preference here. As long as Spurs have stayed up and United have stayed up, you and I are both okay. So, but look, let the best teams stay up, and the teams that aren't quite good enough, unfortunately, hopefully bounce down and bounce back up again. But player escape room, we are joined for a chat by one of the nicest guys in the A-League, Newcastle Jets star Brandon O'Neill. Revolutionised roundup of the 2 men's semi-final second legs. And is there anything I didn't see? VIG.
Yeah, well, we haven't mentioned that Bayern Munich lost 3-1 to RB Leipzig over the weekend. Meaning,
I've been celebrating at the moment, but not too early.
Oh, just calm it down a little bit. But Dortmund obviously won their game to jump Bayern. I think they're now 2 points ahead with going into the final game of the season. So huge for Dortmund. Bayern have won 10 straight now. I think it is. So um, it's about time that their run is over, and Dortmund potentially lift the Bundesliga again for the first time in a very long time. I think Klopp was there last time they did it. So it's going to be a huge match this weekend with big two games that kick off at the same time this weekend. Cologne and Bayern, and then Dortmund at home to Mainz. So no better place for the BVB to lift the trophy than in front of the big yellow wall.
Yeah, look, I hope there's not the big yellow banana peel for Dortmund, because we had a chance a few weeks ago. It looked like we were finally going to break it, and then all of a sudden we tripped over, and then they, like true champions, Bayern took advantage of that. So, look, hopefully we can hold on. And look, this is the only thing that's keeping me afloat this year, because Spurs have been so dreadful that Inter making the Champions League final, and Dortmund hopefully winning the Bundesliga will give me some sort of victories this year. So, look, fingers crossed. So my weekly wrap has been replaced by a shout-out dedicating a weekly song to a team or a player for their good or bad performance. This week's shout-out goes to Pep and Man City, who captured another Premier League title and have made the Champions League final to face Inter, and the treble is still on the table. So plenty to play for the for the boys from Manchester. It's been an amazing few years for them, and look, he's probably stamped himself, if not the best coach of all time, definitely in the top two, probably with Fergie, but the song we send to them is Quinton Hudson's stylish track, Can't Stop Winning.
Everybody want a piece I'm building. I can't help but listen to the boy that's always winning. Can't stop winning. To the boys that I can't stop winning. Can't stop winning. Everybody want a piece I'm building. Can't stop winning. To the boys that I can't stop winning. Can't stop winning.
And the truth of the matter is they can't. They just seem to, even when they look like this year they were in trouble, they found a way of getting out of trouble, and they've got that absolute beast known as Haaland, who just knows how to score, and everybody else is just raised to another level when the going gets tough and gets down to the business end where you need someone to stand up. They've got multiple people where a lot of teams have players go hiding. They're all tripping over each other to try and get the win. So congratulations to them. Doesn't make my heart sing, but I'm sure it does for those City fans.
Yeah, look, they're just they're a phenomenal team to watch. The style of football that Pep has in playing is, it's nothing like we've seen before. Even the team that he had at Barcelona, I don't think they quite played like this. And I think he is, one of the greatest coaches of all time. He's turned John Stones from an English centre back that wins the ball and clears it and heads it out to a ball playing midfielder / right back / centre back. I think I wouldn't be surprised. I know Haaland's scored 50 goals this year, but for me, John Stones has been the biggest revelation in that team. The way he plays now, and I think he's probably up there with the best centre back in the world at the moment. Just the way he plays. He's a centre back with a midfielder. I don't know. Pep's turned him Spanish or something like that. So I don't know what he's done with him, but he's just an absolutely brilliant player at the moment.
Yeah, Stones Ramos is his new name. But look, and the sad part is for all us, Spurs and Man United non-City fans, is the fact that they're chasing now Declan Rice and a few others. So it just gets worse and worse. But look, good luck to them. It's time for our Revolutionised Round-Up of the semi-finals, leg 2. So we both, because there's only 2 games, we both have a match of the day where we'll talk about the score, the goal scorers, the players of the game, the turning point, and what we would have changed, either Coach Gio or VIG, to get a different result for the losing team. We've switched this week, so I've taken the Melbourne City and the Sydney FC game, and you've taken the Mariners and Adelaide. So I'll kick off with the first one, which was City welcoming Sydney for the second leg to Melbourne. The final score was 4-0 to Melbourne City, which made it 5-1 on aggregate. So it looked like it was a pretty easy win for City. But the goal scorers were Curtis Good in the 37th, Jack Rodwell with an own goal in the 59th, Marco Tilio in the 67th, and Van der Veen in the 82nd. For me, the player of the match was Marco Tilio. He hasn't always been in the City lineup this season, but he's hit top form at the back end of the season. He was way too hot to handle for Sydney. Surely there's huge interest in this special Aussie talent overseas, and he helped himself to another goal and terrorised the 10-men Sky Blues for pretty much the entire game.
Yeah, he was good, wasn't he? It's a shame because it was 11v10 for majority of this match, and I'm sure you'll touch on that shortly. But yeah, he was, when you've got a team like City playing against, against a 10-man side, they're going to knock the ball around. They're going to break lines. They're going to get it behind you. And, Tilio running at players, he's dangerous every time he gets the ball. And he scored a fantastic goal.
Yeah, look, I think, the reason he's so enjoyable to watch too is because he is short. He looks like some sort of draw. You don't even see him running, right? You just see him guiding and gliding just slightly above the grounds, right? So you don't actually see anything underneath. All you see is this object just floating
Because
around.
his legs are paddling like this. It's like
brilliant.
a doggy paddle underwater. But
he's so enjoyable to watch. And you know what? As much as City fans won't want to hear this, you could see him easily playing in Europe over there on the left flank, causing all sorts, especially when he's getting a lot of good service. And, like I said, the training even steps up another notch. So, look, I'd love to see him over there, and that's not any disrespect to City, but I think he's been fantastic the last couple of seasons, and I think he's ready to go to the next level. The turning point for me, everyone in the whole of Australia knows what the turning point. It wasn't just the turning point in the game, but it was game over when the VAR overturned Max Burgess's 20th minute yellow card, showing him a red, reducing Steve Corecker's men to just 28% possession. So let's be honest, against City, you struggle to get lion's share of the ball. But when you've got 70-odd minutes to play with 10 men at City, you're none and Buckley's. So unfortunately, Max Burgess has just gone, in with a tackle. That would look like there was no intent there, but unfortunately it didn't turn out well for him. It looked a lot worse than it actually probably was. And, straight away he raised his hand and thought, maybe I've got away with one here because it's just going to be a yellow. But look, as hard as it is, as much as it wrecked Sydney's chances, as much as it probably ended Sydney's season and it was heartbreaking for Max, it was probably a fair call, right? I think it was a tackle that could have hurt Tilio. If Tilio misses a final now, he'd be sitting here and he'd be sitting here saying, "Look, it should have been." So unfortunately for him, he just needs to learn in a big game like that. Just be careful with your tackles, right? Or if you time them, they have to be inch perfect. So yeah, unfortunately for me, that was game over and the turning point of the game.
Yeah, 100%. Look, it's an unfortunate event. Like you said, no malice in it, no intent to go in and hurt the player, but when you go in like that with your foot raised and studs showing and you do connect, whether that connection was full force or not, I think he did pull out of it. But when you do that, you run the risk of, especially these days with the VAR, you run the risk of, if you do get a yellow, that getting overturned and the red card being issued, and that's what happened. And unfortunately, I think the VAR made the correct decision, and he's going to have to live and learn from that. And it was a shame because the game was shaping up, to be a real, seesawing affair. Whether Sydney could have held on, for the 90 minutes anyway with 11 men, I'm not too sure, but it did pretty much kill their chances then and there in the 20th minute.
Yeah, look, I think what could they have done or what would I have done to change it? I don't think there's anything that Sydney's bench could have done. Poor Sydney did all they could. They fought hard, only conceding one goal before the 60th minute when an own goal made it 2-0 on the night. What didn't also help was that Robert Mack was unavailable, never travelled to Melbourne, and Lolly was on the bench. So I'm guessing he must be injured because he hasn't. If he was fully fit, you'd be guessing he'd start. So taking out two of their best players this season was a lot to ask. Then you go play with 10 men for 70 minutes. So it all, I think, just accumulated in just too much for Sydney. And look, maybe the way that they finished the season and they've ended up, losing semi-finalists against, potential. The premiers and the champions, maybe that saves Steve Corecker because there's not much a coach can do when a player is sent off like that. If they come out and lost 4 or 5-0 or 6-0 in aggregate and had full 11 men, then maybe you can blame the coach, but I don't think there's much you can do here for him. So unfortunately, Sydney can lick their wounds, dust themselves off, and they have to prepare for next season. But that was the end of the first semi-final, and the second semi-final was the Central Coast Mariners welcoming Adelaide. What happened here, VIG?
Yeah, well, what happened? There was a record home crowd for the Central Coast Mariners, 20,059. So
it looked like there was 48 million there.
Oh, it looked like I think every man and his dog in the Central Coast was at that ground, or they'll tell you they were at that ground in 10 years' time when Adelaide when Central Coast beat Adelaide 2-0. So. Look, it's great to see the fans there, but why are all those fans only just showing up now to get on the wagon? Where are those passionate fans when the times are tough, when the club wasn't winning, when the players were leaving to go overseas and investors weren't interested? Like, where were they? They're there. It's clear and obvious that there's a big football community in the Central Coast, right? So and I understand winning and success breeds a fascination and a connection, with a football club, and as Aussies we love getting on the bandwagon, but no one wants to miss out on when there's success. No one wants to miss out, but we're all shy to walk away when times get tough. And I know that's not all fans. I'm being harsh here. I've turned a positive into a negative somehow.
You are being harsh, mate, because it's not that simple. There's kids there that went to the games that I know that play, in the youth with my son, and they said they got home at midnight, right, because of the time and travel home and traffic and all that sort of stuff. So, okay, it was a great game, a great spectacle, but it doesn't always fit in with your family, right? They have to be realistic.
I know, and I'm realistic with that, but how do we build on that? How does Central Coast build on the culture that Nick and Sergio have built up there and established with the players? How do they transform that to the Central Coast community? And they do such a good job at it. But how do they get those fans that were there? 20,000 of them. How do we get them there every week to watch the Mariners? Because they should be there every week to watch the Mariners. They're one of the best teams in the league.
That's the next magic trick for Monty and Serge, right?
They've done everything.
Yeah, they just have to now get the magic trick off the pitch as well, right, and show us that they can walk on water, especially the one just around Central Coast Stadium.
Look, if they win the league, if they beat City in the final, they just might do it. So anyway, we'll move on. The goal scorers, it was 2-0 to the Mariners. The goal scorers, Sammy Silvera in the 48th and Marco Tullio in the 52nd. So bang bang straight after halftime. They go 2-0 up, kill off the game. My player of the match was Marco Tullio. He scored a goal. He had 7 key passes, and this guy's he's a 25-year-old Brazilian, and yes, I had to check his birth certificate. He is only 25. He's a player. He was at a crossroads in his career, right? He'd been on loan in Belgium. He'd gone back on loan in Brazil. To a lower league team. He was languishing in the Sporting Lisbon B team, right? And he's pretty much been given a career lifeline by the Mariners. And now he has 10 goals, 5 assists in 28 games this season. And, he's been brilliant for them. And if he's on fire in a couple of weeks' time in the grand final, Central Coast could be lifting the trophy.
Could be confusing too if they're calling Tullio. We won't know if it's tomato. Let's call the whole thing off. Right?
It's absolutely. It's going to be a shoot off between the two of them. So looking forward to that. The turning point in this one, I thought Adelaide did pretty well for the first 30, 35 minutes. The game was back and forth. I think Vukovic and Gauci made some good saves, but
Buff was very unlucky, wasn't he, when he hit the post? It was a beautiful strike.
So, this is it. It's Sackcloth hitting the post. It's gone down to Vukovic's right, hit the right post. That goes in, and we've got a real game on our hands, right? So, call it luck, call it what you want, but Central Coast get away with one there, and they go into half time. 0-0, and then they just come out in the second half and on the back of that crowd, get the job done and get through to the final.
Yeah, not only that though, I think that not only would have made it 1-0 to Adelaide, but to go from defending a corner and going length of the field, it would have been a massive hammer blow, right, to the Mariners. So I'm with you. I think that severe turning, and also that 5-minute period where they just switched off and conceded 2 goals, which didn't even give them a chance to get in the game. It was just game over for a 5-minute nap, like a cat nap, and it's game over. So, look, unfortunately for Adelaide, it's been a good season, but they've fallen a bit short.
Yeah, definitely. And look, I don't know if they could have done too much to change the outcome, but we've been screaming for Iran Kunda to start a football match, all season. Why not now? If it wasn't last week, why not this week? They've gone with Clough as sort of a winger, and they've got Alagic sort of playing as your 10. Why not play Clough as your 10 and play Iran Kunda, out wide, or playing Iran Kunda, up top as a 9, play 2 9s, or him just in behind. So, I know they brought him on in the second half, but we've been saying this. I sound like a broken record, I think, when I talk about Adelaide every week. But you got to have him on from the start.
Yeah, look, I totally agree. That's the end of our Revolutionised Round-Up. Up after the break, we welcome to the Player Escape Room Goal of the Year contender, Newcastle Jets, Brandon O'Neill.
You're listening to the Football Revolution.
Joining us now in the Player Escape Room is a man who was an excellent signing by his club this season. Please welcome to the show Newcastle Jets star midfielder, Brandon O'Neill. G'day, mate. Welcome to the show.
Hey, lads. Thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. We've been trying to get you on for a good 18 months now. So finally we get our man, right?
Finally,
it's exciting.
Finally. The hard work pays off.
Mate, how's everything with you?
Dad life here. I'm just a father now. Unfortunately,
you're a lot more than that, Brandon. Okay, you can't sell that off yet. You've got to be retired for at least 5 to 10 years before you can call yourself just a father.
I hope to play till the wheel falls off. So if we can get to 40, I'll be laughing.
Mate, you're on the right league. As good as we like, as much as we like the A League, is the recycle bin. So, mate, there's 6 other clubs you can go to before you can hang the boots up.
There you go, eh? There you go.
You still look 26 anyway. We'll just leave it at that.
Oh, thanks. I'll pay you. Jazzy, thanks, mate.
Mate, firstly, bad luck this season. Unfortunately, not making the finals. You were in the race, but only picked up 5 of a possible 27 points in the last 9 matches. What could the team have done better?
Yeah, it's a belter question. I think, you look at us as a starting 11 and then the bench, and you just look at the squad on paper, you go, yeah, we're a pretty decent team. And I think fundamentally we look back on this season and you can delve into a lot of things. You can go from A to Z and what we could have done better and this, that and the other. But I think when you look at the team and you look at the way we set up and how we played our football, I think you couldn't really complain with the approach we took. I think just in the big moments, whether it was scoring, whether it was not conceding, whether it was actually game management, I think maybe the inexperience of just a young team. We're a very young team. We're together for the first time this year, and a lot of new bodies in the club, learning a totally different way of playing under our boss. And unfortunately, last game of the season, I felt like I had the best half of football I had all year, and then I go out the second half and get sent off. So it was just unfortunately summed up my year and probably summed up our year. On the flip side, we've got a hell of a lot of growth and a hell of a lot of potential because, again, you look at the people that we have at the football club, we're a talented bunch.
Mate, is that the first time you've heard those stats? 5 of 27 points in your last 9 games, or has Arthur and that made that very clear to you that was the end of your season?
Yeah, when we when you say it like that, and when we were doing a video session and we were looking at, okay, well, literally, what does our run look like and how many points we can get and what's our total? Yeah, it was 27 points up for grab, and I tell you now, we were going for more than 5. Put it that way. And that's probably the unfortunate, upsetting thing is we were in so many of them games. Away to Melbourne City, you 1-0 up with 10 men, and unfortunately, a large part of that second half when we were playing against them, they were probably the better side. And again, it's probably just that game management of understanding you're 1-0 up and how to make sure you walk away with them 3 points. Like I said, it makes for a hungry off season, a belter pre-season, and then a magic year next year if all goes to plan.
Maybe you need a few more Beckers. You've only got 2 at the moment. Maybe you need a few more of those.
A few more.
If you want to be a bit Becker, get a couple more Beckers. Isn't that how it goes?
It's the only way.
B2, B3, B4. We'll have the whole Georgian national team.
It's true. Mate, I'm glad you did touch on a little bit about finishing and dominating games, because the quality in your squad, you should have made finals this year. And on so many occasions, I've watched games, you've dominated the match, you've created the better chances, a lot better than your opponents, but you just couldn't score. What do you think the problem was? I can suggest you maybe introduce some huge goal bonuses or even holidays, etc. next season. Maybe that can tempt the goal scorers to make sure they score rather than hit the corner flag or the grandstand behind the goals.
But how could you imagine that goal bonuses? That'd be God. We'd probably have, if you did that to all the teams, you'd probably have the most goals scored ever in the league, I think. It'd be actually good value to watch.
Also, if you added a couple of digits on for quality of goal, I think Brandon's this year would have got probably top max he can get. Would have been maxed out.
Yeah, maxed out. Yeah. Max contract for that one. Absolutely.
Not the whole close your eyes and just kick it as hard as you can.
Mate, teach me that then. I don't know. Do
No
you run a coaching clinic on how to shut your eyes and strike like that? I'm in, mate. If you are, I'll be there every session.
I'll just practice it in front of my mirror at night time and away you go. Goals this year. It's another great question. I felt exactly what you just said there, Gio. We, as we tried to do, we play a certain brand of football, and obviously it's high tempo, quick style, and you try to catch the opposition on the back foot, and it's a really enjoyable way of playing, especially when you're up and going and you're energized and you can feel things are happening in the pitch. And what was really pleasing is when we had the ball, we were able to manoeuvre it quite quickly and quite well up to that front third. And I think I'd be a rich man if I was able to put my finger on something that was to change our season in front of goal. And sometimes you've got to stick your hand up and you just say, like, it was one of them seasons in front of goal.
Build-up play was harder than finishing the chance. And it's like you watch the score line, you go, you lost 1-0 or 2-0. Then you watch the highlights and you're thinking, they could have scored 15 goals here. And every time I'm watching, I'm thinking, surely I've watched the wrong scoreline here, because they've done this brilliant build-up play. The guy's 4 meters out, and then his header hits at the corner flag, and it's like, I just understand this.
And I think that's we often talked about it this year. How can we become a championship winning side? And the one thing is you have to get the talent in the room. And secondly, you've got to get the people in the room. And I think we've done that really well at Newcastle down there. We've got good, hard-working people that are very talented with football. The third missing bit is you've got to create a momentum-building winning team that understand how to do it, and then make sure that becomes the norm. That's the challenge now for the team this year, is we need to be able to, from day one pre-season next year, we need to find a way to bring that into our system and make sure that becomes the normal. And it's probably the hardest thing to do in sport, because everyone's looking and trying to do it. If we can do that, I have no doubt in my mind that we can be quite successful for a number of years.
Gee, maybe you and I draw straws and one of us rings our old co-host Roy O'D and see if he's keen to go back to the Jets. What do you reckon?
Well, we can do something. We can always try.
Imagine him running off some of Brandon O'Neill's through balls.
I'd love it.
So would I. I'd buy a season pass straight away to see that.
I'm up there. I'm up the F3. Get me up there.
He's a good lad, Roy. He's a good lad.
Football's full of ups and downs, highs and lows. No better highlighter than your stunning strike against MacArthur to win the game in stoppage time a couple of weeks back. But following that, 2 soft yellows in the F3 derby, which affected your team's chances of victory. How do you deal with the football roller coaster, with the emotions that go with it?
Yeah, that's a question. You go from hero to villain. You go on cloud 9 for a week, and then you're sat in a change room watching half an hour of the second half of your team on the phone on Paramount, and it's sobering to say the least.
Is that a free membership though? They at least give you freebies to Paramount,
yeah,
don't they?
Watch the end of the game, which was good. Yeah, it is a sobering experience. Like I said, this year for me personally, again, has been really, to put it frank, very inconsistent. Starting from pre-season, injury, you work your way back to full fitness. And for anyone else listening out there, I take my hat off to people that can spend a period of time out of the sport, come back, and then be ready to rock and roll week one. I've learned having injuries, it takes me at least 4 to 6 to 8 weeks to even get my legs going. And that was probably the hardest thing about injuries sustainable. It unfortunately sets me back a hell of a lot longer than I guess most genetic freaks out there. So to be able to be put in that situation against MacArthur, where I think that was my 7th or 8th game back from my calf injury, and I felt like the strike or not, the goal or not, it was a game that kind of cemented the work that I'd put in to say, yeah, I can still mix it with the best of them here. I can still control the game, and I can still, try be the best midfielder on that park. And that was the most exciting thing heading into the derby against Central Coast, because there was a lot on the line, and that's what you want to play in as a footballer. Then big games in the first half, we went toe to toe with them, and I was flying, and I felt like I was flying, which was awesome. And then I decided to have an early shower at 60 minutes in. It kind of brings you back down to, you're not going to be playing next week. You're probably not going to make the finals, and your season's finished. And I sat there, and it's like, well, what do you do now? Like, what good am I to the team, our boss, our club? And then you walk home, and you come in, and your daughter runs up to you and hasn't a clue what happened. She just looks at you, and she goes to show you one of her new bunny rabbits that she's got in her toy little chest here. She loves bunny rabbits, and it just brings you back down to earth. It goes, well, look, Dad didn't, and I'm sure I'll explain this when she gets older. Sometimes Dad doesn't do his job very well, and he has a bad night. Luckily enough, I don't have to explain that to her now, and we and play. Fatherhood has been the best thing that's ever happened to me in terms of putting perspective on things.
I mean, all you have to do is get up your phone and show her that goal again. That's all you have to do. Is it the best goal you've ever scored? Is it up there with one of the best?
I think even in terms of importance, and yeah, maybe in terms of strike.
Importance.
Yeah.
You could not have hit that any better if you tried. If that was on a golf course, you've just signed a $5 million deal.
Yeah. It was a belter, wasn't it, lads? It was a belter.
It was outstanding.
He's got himself a live contract if he's on the golf course.
It was a thing of beauty, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
you can show her you're getting sent off, because you can show her, look, here's something I prepared earlier, me getting sent off. But then as soon as you show her that, she won't even know you got sent off.
Yeah, I need to do it with my right foot now, because I tend to always end up taking a touch outside my left and then leave myself no choice but to, you're either hitting this flush or it's gone outside the stadium. And every time I've hit it flush, it's ended up going all right. So I need to start doing them with me actually proper foot now.
Mate, speaking of your daughter, Scotty, so obviously in June 2021, the family had to deal with the tremendous loss of your dad and your number one fan, Milo. Following month, you were given the amazing news that you and your wife are expecting your first child, and then your beautiful baby daughter arrived in December. So besides the birth of your daughter, what helped you get through the most trying of times?
Oh, God, how long have you got, lads?
A couple of months. I'm happy to listen to it, mate. Like I said, this would break most people, right? And you've come through the other side, with flying colours. So it goes to show a lot about the type of person you are and the family you have around you.
No, I appreciate the kind words, lads. Yeah, it's look, it wasn't easy. It was a challenge, and when it was kind of all happening, the first thing in your mind is you just want to get home and be there. And that was the decision me and Nicole made when we were in Thailand, that we just had to go home. We knew it was going to be the end, and I was so lucky to be able to get home and spend 2 weeks with him before he passed away. But when big life things happen like that, it's you do change. I definitely changed as a person. It just goes to show what we kind of deem in our lives as important or not important. It's nowhere near the scale of what you go through when you lose your best friend. And there was points in the grieving process. You question, well, he's not here. He's someone that's done something with me for my whole life. Like, do I want to even do it anymore? You sit down, and all these life things were happening. Scotty was born. We moved into our new home in Perth. I was with Dad, and but I also had to provide. You're a dad, and you got to look out for your girls, and that was probably the hardest thing of juggling everything. I needed to still be a professional footballer, but I also tried. I needed to grieve at the same time, and the grief was pushing me one way, and football was pushing me another, and family was pushing me another. And I often just sat down after training going like, I just need to get on a deserted island somewhere and just really work this all out. And it got to the point, the end of my glory days there at the club, where I made a decision that, with as weird as this sounds, I've gotten to the stage with grief now, is where I chat to my old boy as if he was still here, but he's not. And
nice, mate.
and the person that he saw at glory when I was back there. I don't think he would have been proud of what I was doing, and being a father now and trying to chase after something. I think he just taught me to have a crack and to never stop trying to be the best version of you. And I wasn't at home. Everything away from football was, we did a hell of a lot of work to get into the position where I was able to go into training and to have a crack in games. But I think if I was back home in Perth now, I'd be retired. I truly think that that's the way it was going, just given the fact that who I was and what I was doing. So it took an almighty effort from myself and my family to say, all right, well, I'm 27, turning 28. What do we want out of this? And that was probably the bravest sit down me and Nicole and my mum had at that time. Is they just backed me in. They said, look, we're so happy to do what you want to do, as long as what you want to do is right, and what do you want to do? And it was that point where I was like, I want to experience things still in the game, and I want to do things in the game that my dad would be proud of. And it got to the point this season, and just ending this season was a milestone for me in itself. But it got to the end of probably when I was kicking the ball to the best of my ability the last couple of games, where it really hit home, being here, being on your own, raising a girl and trying to provide for her, and being a mum and dad, that I'm actually I'm actually doing it for them now. And it's only really when you're talking about it that really sinks in, because when it's all said and done, I'm actually not doing it for myself anymore. I'm doing it for my girl, and that's probably the biggest motivating factor for success now. And long story short, 2.5 years of feeling in the wilderness, and I've come to that realization now. I can sit here quite excited for the next few years, because I know who I'm doing it for now, which is awesome.
And I found out 6 or 7 years ago what sort of amazing person your father and your mother had raised when my son walked out on the pitch with you at North Sydney Oval. And you were probably one of the only Sydney players without a child at the time. And my son said, Dad, he spoke to me the whole way. He made us point over to you guys, and he still remembers this. He's 12 now. At the time, he was about 6, and he still remembers it. So I knew that day that I was watching an outstanding player in Brandon O'Neill for Sydney FC, but I knew I was watching an even better person. So he still talks about you to this day, mate, about how you took him out on the pitch and how you treat him like gold. And I'll never forget that. Like I said, I'll remember your goal that you scored against the Bulls, and I'll tell people about that. But the thing that I will definitely always tell people about Brandon O'Neill was he's every bit as good off the pitch as he is on it, and it was something I'll never forget. So I can guarantee you, mate, that even if you had some tough times, your father would be super proud of the human being he raised. So hats off to you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I think when it's all said and done, you're just a bloke at the end of the day, and everyone wants to be treated equally. And I remember when I was young, and you'd go out to big games and you watch professionals. All you kind of wanted to do was one of them to kind of get you noticed and have a chat and have a chin wag. And I feel like if we just normalise a lot of the things that we should be doing, then everyone can have a great time with the football, and whether you win, lose or draw, stories like that, Gio, is awesome. It's why you try raise your kids in a certain way, and it's why you make sure that when people are there and you're chatting to people, you make sure you take the time to listen and put a smile on their face.
Mate, I think you're a legend, but I'm not sure if your teammates will after this. So we'd like to play a game with you. Our first of our 2 games we play with our guests called 6 Aside. We ask you 6 questions comparing you and your Newcastle Jets teammates. We'd like you to be honest. If you get stuck, we're happy to help you out. You ready to play?
Yeah, this would be a laugh.
Okay. Who is more likely to pick up the bill? So if you go to a breakfast or a dinner and someone has to pick up the full bill for the team, you or Rene Piscopo?
Me.
You? Is he no chance?
No, he is, bless him. Like he is.
He plays in the All-Stars game. This guy surely can pay the bill.
He can play. Don't worry about that.
We know he can play, but can he pay?
Yeah. I think, like, if it was at me or him, I'd probably just say, you're all right. I'll get it. No problem. I think he would. I definitely think he wouldn't be the one that I'd look at and go, "Nah, you're never paying." But he'd make a joke or a laugh, or he'd make someone go, like, "It's all right, I'll get this one. You won't get the next one, so I'll have to get it again." Something like that. He'd always have a dig.
I would have put my money on you, mate. So we've gone the right way. Who would do a better job minding our kids, Josh and I's kids, or my dogs? You or Jason Hoffman?
Do you know what? Jason Hoffman.
He would.
I've seen him.
Has he got kids and dogs? Is he an expert in this field?
Yeah, he's one of them. Like I've got. Nicole tells me I'm on like ever ready batteries. Like I go, but I get to a point where I crash and I'm nowhere for a bit. Hoffy does not crash. Like he can go on no sleep. Will wake up and still look exactly the same and still operate at the same trajectory. He is unbelievable.
Okay.
All right. I know who I'm calling for a babysitter.
Yeah, me too.
Very good. Who would make the better Hollywood actor? You or Angus Thurgate?
What would Angus Thurgate be starring in?
I've got no idea.
if it's like,
I've seen him on socials. He loves the glasses and a bit of a pose. So I don't know, maybe romantic comedies. I don't know. Is he good with the ladies? I don't know.
In terms of viewing, like, Angus Thurgate would get a lot more views just because he'd be like Joshua, like Ryan Grant. If he was in a film,
sign me up.
Exactly, it's exactly like Gus. Exactly like Gus.
Yeah, he could be like if they made American Pie, but like a more recent remake or something.
And if you could get Thurgate and co-star Dane Ingham, oh my god!
Dane Ingham's got that Stifler vibe, doesn't he?
Yeah, I reckon we hit these guys up, see if we can get them on together.
That would
that would be brilliant. Who takes longer in the shower, you or Becca Mikultadze?
Oh, that's a great question. See, he looks like he does, doesn't he? Like
he looks like he has a bath. He has a bath and the whole bit. Yeah.
No, I think I do because I kind of like. I take my time with everything, especially being a father now. You just you got
to enjoy the little moments, mate. You got to enjoy the little moments.
Hot water's trickling down your back, and you got 5 minutes, and no one's bothering you. Becca's in and out. He's.
Are you the slowest, Brandon? Are you the slowest? Is there someone that takes even longer than you?
Yeah, Carl Jenkinson. Yeah,
of course he does.
Yeah,
of course he does.
Yeah,
the old Premier League vibe, right?
Every bit of hair in the right place. That's it.
Yeah, Jenko is. He's the last one out for sure.
All right, who sucks up to the coach more, you or Matt Yerman?
Oh, do you know what? I have to say me because Germs, God love him. Like the boss is. He's hard. Like he'll make sure that things are done, and it doesn't matter if you've like Germs he's played I think he's gone to a World Cup or an Asian Cup. He's played in like big games. How many casts for the Socceroos? And the boss would go at Germs exactly the same way as he'd go at a youth team boy going in. And I think he expects like Germs is our club captain, and he expects a lot out of leaders of the team. And I think Germs would definitely cop a hell of a lot more than what I have done this year. So now I'm into that. I'm definitely more of a suck up.
The last one: who is more likely to be late to training or to the airport for an away game, you or Josh Sotirio?
Neither.
Okay. Who's going to take that crown? Who's someone you just know is absolutely rubbish when it comes to being punctual?
If he was paying, say, if there was odds on our team now and one was paying $1.20, who would you lads pick for $1.20 pop?
Archie Goodwin.
Oh, interesting, Josh.
Archie Goodwin. Yeah. I reckon maybe the other Becca.
The other Becca, very good. Carl Jenkinson again.
Seriously? Okay.
That's it. Well, he doesn't know
UK time. No, he
doesn't know to watch that bloke.
So he does this thing where say we have to be somewhere at 8:00. He will casually walk in at 7:59 and 45 seconds on the clock. Like it's just a part of his day, and he does it every single time.
Okay, we're not getting him on the show. We'll be 8:00 and it'll be midnight before we get him on. So put a line through him. We'll take the other two youngsters that bounce off each other, but with Ingham and Thurgate, but we're not taking him.
You have a laugh with them. Yeah.
All right, mate. You've passed that with flying colours. So we'd like to get into the second game we'd like to play with our guests, which is 1-2. We'll give you a topic. You tell us your thoughts on those topics. You ready to go?
Beautiful. Sounds good.
What song best describes you?
Oh,
And if we don't know what it is, you have to sing a few lines or at least say a few of them.
so, you know that, what's it called? Is it 500 miles? I will
Oh, yeah,
walk
yeah,
500
miles
miles.
an
That-
hour. Yeah, that is you. That is you to a T, isn't it?
Yeah, just get up, get going, and yeah, you'll be right.
Mate, I think I've seen how much running you do on the pitch too. That probably comes into the equation too. It's probably how much you cover, isn't it, in a game?
Yeah, well, it's my job. It's part and parcel of it. 500 miles.
Your cooking skills.
They were abysmal, but have gotten really a lot better. Do you know what has really changed the directory? The old Hello Fresh.
Oh,
Okay.
love a bit of HelloFresh. You get the instructions,
See, that's the big
and
thing.
you don't have to go shopping. The food's right there. It's brilliant.
And it tastes nice. You know when you try whip something together, you're like, what the hell is this shite? Hello Fresh, bang on, bang for your buck. Yeah,
It's the shopping for me. I hate going shopping.
So this could be an endorsement deal too.
This could be.
We can
I hate
speak to them,
going-
see if they want face of Hello
I
Fresh.
hate going
Hello
shopping.
Brandon
I
O'Neill.
get intimidated when I go shopping. I walk in. I'm like, well, what do I get? You know, start picking up things.
I don't have that problem. I'm a good cook, so I don't have that
I'm
problem.
looking at the shopping list that my missus has given me. It's like 6 pages long, and I'm sweating, and it's just a nightmare.
It's a struggle, isn't it? And then you're thinking like, what will make this taste good? And you're like, I haven't a clue. I'll just put more sauce on it where it could have needed this or that. That's where HelloFresh is good.
All right, so that saved your bacon, right?
Saved my
time.
bacon a couple times too, I reckon. Your ability on the dance floor. Any moves?
No, not
Is there, can you just tell us then, is there any footballer that can actually dance? Every time we ask someone, they can't dance. They don't want to get on the dance floor. Like, is there any footballers that
gotta
can
be
actually
one.
dance? You're supposed to be coordinated with your feet. They're not handballers.
There's got to be a few Brazilians that can move, surely.
If you get Dan Ingham on the podcast, he'll give you.
He's a bit of mover and groover. But so if that's the case, so we don't know, definitely you didn't impress your wife on the dance floor, right? So that's not where she thought, who's this bloke?
No chance. I'm freckles. I think I was quite fat when I met her as well. So not impressing her anyway.
Okay.
Celebrity crush.
Ooh. No, this is a male or female.
Can be either, mate. You can. Mate, we're in that,
Either
we're in that-
or, mate.
we're in
Either
gender
or.
reveals these days. They can be either, right?
Yeah.
That's very true. It always has been. I used to be. Do you ever watch a program? It's an English program called Coronation Street.
Yeah, I know what it is, but I don't know if I know the
I've
characters.
heard
but
of it, yes.
Michelle Keegan of Coronation. She
Kev's
dates
daughter.
Peter Wright at the minute. I think Peter Wright. he's off the only way is Essex is all English stuff. Michelle Keegan. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to get on Instagram.
You're
mate.
gonna have to look that up.
Michelle. Yeah.
People talking during a movie. Could be you, could be someone else. Is acceptable or not?
Yeah, see, this is terrible because say if it's a comedy, I laugh and I'll repeat the line that I was laughing at.
No.
So I'm actually that fella, and then my missus is like, shut the feck up. I'm trying to watch a film, and I'm laughing, repeating this, and yeah, I'm one of them. So I can't really say yes or no, can I? Because I'm actually the culprit.
I was going to say, there's lots of things you want to do with Brandon O'Neill. One of them's not going to movies.
Not a comedy, like a horror and stuff. I'll sit there and I won't say tickety boo, but a comedy and stuff, I'll laugh.
The best player you've ever played with or against?
Oh, Jesus. Well, there's been a few.
No pressure to say Alex Gershback either, is there?
Oh,
No pressure.
he's off the list, mate.
Yeah,
Don't worry
okay.
about him.
Gers is up there with the best left back in terms of like physicality and stuff, mate. That chap's a weapon.
What happened to his brother though?
Remember,
That's a different story, right?
I didn't get a left foot.
Joshy, just if you want a marathon, go see Joshy. Joshy's a flyer. In terms of when we were at Sydney, we played we're very lucky to play against Arsenal, Liverpool. I played against Mesut Ozil in Arsenal, and I'm still trying to get near him to this day. He was in terms of a football brain, he knew things that was happening before you could even think about it, and then he would have done it before you even tried to get close to him to doing it. His IQ and then his execution on things was scarily good. In terms of the A-League and the relationship that I had with the pair of them, and it was at Sydney again, how long? I was probably 4 years with 4 years with both of them. Milos Ninkovic and Joshua Belante, we got to the point when we were, I think, at our most successful. We didn't even talk on the pitch anymore. It was just body movements, angles of where we should play it, weight of pass. Joshy is in terms of a buddy next to me on the pitch, and the work rate we got through and what we had to do for the team was incredible. But the elegance of Ninko and the football IQ, I'd get the ball, and before of getting the ball, I knew exactly where he was going to position himself, and I knew the exact way to pass or the exact combination of what we were going to do to unlock something. It was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Thing you've always wanted to do but never tried.
Oh, I don't know if I could make the weight or anything. I'd love to be a jockey.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
I would love if you give me the thrill of riding Nature Strip in Everest and you go into that straight and you know that thing's going to win. Just give me that thrill once in my life, and that'd be me.
Oh, that would be good. Let me know when you do it, and I'll put some money on you.
Yeah,
so
me too.
And then we can enjoy it.
I don't think I can make the weight, lad. No chance.
We'll try. We'll see if we can strip a few kgs off you. The last one, remembering special occasions, so like birthdays, anniversaries. How do you go with that?
Do you know, I'm actually pretty decent. I'm not going to toot my own horn, but yeah, I'm up there. Yeah, I think just the ones that kind of matter, obviously, like anniversaries and birthdays. Say if it's like your 7th month anniversary, you wouldn't have a clue. Like, no chance. But the big ones, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good.
I'm not bad. I remember the date you scored against the Bulls and all that sort of stuff. So, mate, we're both very similar in that aspect.
You're better than I am at that.
All right, mate. We really appreciate you making the time to come on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you, mate. I know now you're close to putting your feet up and being able to enjoy some time with the family and with Scotty, and be able to do a few more dad things rather than just football things. But mate, you're still a few years off telling everybody you're just a dad. That's, like I said, 5 to 10 years after you retire. But it's been an absolute pleasure, mate, and we wish you all the best, and we'd love to check in with you again in the near future.
I appreciate it again, lad. Sorry it took so long to come on. I knew when we get this chat, I knew we'd have a laugh and have a good chat, and definitely didn't disappoint. So, thank you very much for having me.
All good, mate. It was worth the wait.
It was way worth it, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot, mate.
Appreciate it. Thanks, lad.
You're listening to the Football Revolution.
Back to the show. It was a lot of fun chatting with Brandon, and we wish him and his family all the best. It's now time for our clinical finish. The first part of that is our WTF, our What the Foot. Trailing 2-1 away from home with no Ibasuki, Adelaide start Halloran up front as a lone wolf instead of unleashing Iran Kunda. This could be the trailer for a new movie. Honestly, what is Carl Viet thinking? Like, okay, you want to protect the kid. He gets 28 minutes off the bench after his team is down 2-0, hits the post and almost gets his team back into the tie. If he's not ready and you don't think he's capable, don't play him at all. But if he is, give him a shot. You haven't unleashed him yet. Give him half time, at least give him half a game. Like, what is he allergic to playing more than 20, 28, 30 minutes? Like, you can't put him on, or he's got a clause in there, or his parents said he can't play any longer, or they can't get him to the game on time. What's the deal? What the foot?
Well, I thought I was fired up about this, but you've been triggered. You've been triggered massively. But we like I said, bro, we're broken records. We could start a Iran Kunda podcast, I reckon, and we could talk about him longer than he actually plays each weekend. But I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Is there a clause in his contract somewhere saying if he starts a game, his price goes up, or he's got to be paid X amount? I don't know what it is, but I want to see him for 90 minutes. I want to see him starting football matches and influencing football matches from the start, not just coming on and terrorizing the defense. Like you said, he hit the post. He had other chances to score. He almost got his team back in the game. But what if he was on in the first half and he gets that chance that Zach Clough gets and it goes in the back of the net? Anything could have happened. So yeah, what the foot.
Mate, you triggered me when you were talking about it in the Revolutionised Round-Up. You had triggered me. I was absolutely frothing, right? So it gets me almost as cranky as it does talking about Spurs. But Yeah, look, the sad part is too, look, if he's genuinely protecting the kid, he has 150% my respect, right? But it cost you potentially a grand final. That's the long and short of it. So if you did it to protect the kid, fantastic. You're a great guy, great protector. You've done the right thing by him. But you've cost yourself playing in a grand final, and you've cost the rest of your team and the club a grand final appearance potentially. So there you go. There's the trade-off.
Yeah, but if there was any time to gamble and to actually do it, it was now.
What's the worst that could happen, VIG? Okay, he goes out there, he gets tired, he makes a few mistakes, falls over. Like, what's the wrong?
Yeah,
it's not going to self-destruct or malfunction or, short circuit.
Plays 45 minutes, plays 60 minutes, and then comes off, you replace him, whatever. But,
maybe he's a robot. I don't know. Maybe he's a robot. Maybe his battery life's only 30 minutes. I don't know. He's good enough to be a robot.
All right, he's a freak, isn't he?
Yeah, let's move on. No games to watch this week. There's a week's break before the men's showdown when CommBank Stadium in Sydney hosts Melbourne City and the Central Coast Mariners in the grand final, which we'll talk about in a bit more detail in next week's show. If you missed any part of the show or want to listen to other episodes, where can they catch it?
Yeah, they can catch us on all good podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, also up on Football Nation Radio across their platforms, and the video up on our YouTube channel.
What about if I want to catch our new Irukunda podcast?
It'll be out there. It'll be out there. It's only 30 minutes long. So
no, we only play 22 minutes of it. Even though it goes for 50, we only play 22 minutes of it.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Enjoy some of the remaining fixtures in the leagues around the world, or have the weekend off. Either way, we hope you enjoyed the show even half as much as we enjoy bringing it to you. And we look forward to your company again next Tuesday. As we say, until next time, rise up and join the football revolution. Have a fantastic week. And we'll catch